بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ورب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected listeners, Alhamdulillah. On one side we say Alhamdulillah, we are in the final 10 days of Ramadan, the days in which the rahmat of Allah is such that a person is able to save themselves from the fire of hell. And on the other hand, Ramadan has come and gone very quickly. The other day I asked a Musalli when we were leaving the masjid, asked, how is Ramadan going? And their reply was, Ramadan's going, as in it's come, and now it's going. So Alhamdulillah, we're in the latter stages of the days of Ramadan. So may Allah Ta'ala first and foremost make it such that the days of Ramadan that have passed, may Allah Ta'ala may Allah Ta'ala accept it, and those days of Ramadan that are left, may Allah Ta'ala make those days beneficial for us. It could be that this time next week, this may be the last fast that we keep in Ramadan of this year. So may Allah Ta'ala accept it from us. Inshallah, today's talk will be about three things: Taqwa, anger and jealousy. Starting off with Taqwa, like mentioned very early on in the talks regarding Ramadan, Taqwa is something which a person tries to acquire whilst fasting. And Taqwa is God consciousness, being conscious that Allah Ta'ala is watching you at all times. The hunger and the thirst that we feel is very easily extinguished if we just took a glass of water, if we just took something to eat and we ate it, then this hunger or this thirst would go away. But we don't take it because we know Allah Ta'ala is watching us. And we know that a time will come wherein we're able to eat and drink anyway. So likewise, there are many sins which are tempting us all the time. The same way which we are tempted right now with the food and drink around us, we are always tempted with sin. But if a person remembers that Allah Ta'ala is watching them, if a person remembers that Allah Ta'ala continuously has His gaze upon them, then this will help a person to refrain from doing any such sin. And Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala, the way he would describe taqwa is he would give the example that imagine you were walking through a very thin alley. Upon both sides there were thorns. So what you would do is you would hold your clothes in, and you'd tightly pack yourself so that your clothes would not get hooked onto the thorns. In the same manner, the thorns, we can imagine them to be like the temptations of the dunya. And you holding yourself in, that is the taqwa, that is the knowledge that Allah Ta'ala is watching. Therefore, you're going to be as careful as possible, that you don't want to slip, you don't want to accidentally be pricked by one of the thorns. So taqwa, which alhamdulillah has been mentioned in a lot of detail over the past few talks, that is something which inshallah, that over the course of Ramadan is something that we try to acquire. And may Allah Ta'ala allow us to see many Ramadans, even if the level of taqwa we attain is very small. Even if before, for example, Ramadan, we weren't praying any salah, and after Ramadan we find ourselves we're praying 2-3 of our salah, then the hope is that as time goes on, then a person, their level of taqwa will rise every single time Ramadan comes. However, having said that, Ramadan only comes once a year, and sometimes they are too vast and far apart for us to be making small changes every Ramadan. So we should always try to make changes constantly, even outside of the month of Ramadan. It's very easy in Ramadan to reflect and to try to do our best. Even outside of the month of Ramadan, we should try to do this as well. The second thing is anger. Now, in the month of Ramadan, because we're hungry, because we don't have food in our stomachs, it's easy to lose one's temper. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the 29th day of Sha'ban, when he spoke to the Sahaba and he told them that the month of Ramadan is a month of patience. It's a month in which, yes, a person may get angry, a person is hungry, a person is thirsty, But on that and based upon that, a person, they should still try to hold back their anger. A person shouldn't let their anger get the best of them. And when you let your anger get the best of you, and you know, whether you are vulgar with your tongue, whether you are harsh to a person in terms of, you know, hitting them, or, you know, whichever way you show your anger, then that person, their fast is nothing more than hunger and thirst. As in, they kept the fast and the fast is done, however the blessings of that fast will be stripped away. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a famous hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions, ليس شديد بالسرعة إنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. That true strength is not when you are able to overpower someone else. As in, you know, we deem what we think of as strength nowadays is we think someone is very big and tall and muscular, and, you know, if anyone was to approach him, he would be able to fight them and take them down. That is what we deem as strength today. But what does Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that strength is? He says that true strength is when a person is able to control themselves in the moments that they feel angry. So you feel angry and you control yourself. Now you might be thinking that anger is a negative emotion. Anger is something which shouldn't be shown, but anger is something which you can't help. It's a natural feeling. It's something which, you know, if you see something wrong, if you see something bad, you know, it's natural to get angry. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would mention that when he would get angry, there would even be a certain vein in his forehead which would show through, and his colour would change slightly. Now this is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of the best, and even he, in certain moments, you know, not for himself, rather for the sake of Allah, he would also get angry. However, in those moments of anger, true strength is when you are able to hold yourself back from acting upon something in the heat of your anger. When a person is angry, their judgment is clouded, they are not in the best situation to make the right decisions. They may say something, they may do something which later on they regret. And sometimes, how many times have we become angry and we've thought of things, and then later on we're glad we didn't act upon our anger. Had we acted upon our anger, then more likely than not we would have done something which we would have regretted. And whenever we do something that leaves regret, it always leaves a mark. So whether you've sworn at someone, whether you've hurt someone, even afterwards when you ask forgiveness from that person, it still does not change the fact that there was a time when you hurt them, whether it was physically, whether it was emotionally, whether it was verbally. So we should always try to restrain ourselves in terms of our anger. So there's nothing wrong with becoming angry, there's nothing wrong with feeling anger. It's what we do with that anger which is important. And like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, we should try to control ourselves in the moment of anger and not act upon our angry thoughts and feelings in such a way that we will regret in the future. And lastly, the topic of jealousy. Now this act of jealousy, or whether you want to call it being envious, this is something which can be akin to and denoted to one of the earliest sins, if not one of the first sins. And it was not even carried out by any human, it was carried out by Iblis himself. If we go back thousands and thousands of years, right to the beginning of the creation of mankind, where Iblis, he was amongst the Malaika, he was a jinn, he was created from fire, and he was amongst the Malaika which were created from light. And Allah Ta'ala had granted him such status, Allah Ta'ala had granted him such a position that he was a jinnat from amongst the Malaika. As in, he was one in a million, not just, so to speak. Yes, we don't know the exact number of the Malaika, but there were no other creation amongst the Malaika except for Iblis at that time. And Iblis, he was a great, they say that he had 3 of the Ains, the letter Ain in Arabic. They say that there's 3 Ains, and he had two of the ayns and he was lacking one ayn. One ayn is that he was an abid, he was a great worshipper of Allah. It is mentioned that there is not a single place on the earth upon which Iblis, I should call him Iblis at this time, upon which Iblis did not do sajda to Allah Ta'ala. As in, he was a he had three ayns and he was lacking one ayn. So the first ayn he was a abid, and he worshipped Allah vastly and in ways that we would not even be able to worship Allah because Allah Ta'ala has given him such a long life. The second ayn is that he is an alim. Yeah, the same way we have alim and ulama of today, he is an alim. And what is an alim? An alim is a person of knowledge. Alim literally translates to ilm wala, someone who has knowledge. He has been there from the time of Adam alayhi salam through to the time of the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and beyond, even past our lives. Shaitan, Iblis, he will be there, and he was there when all the prophets came, and he has knowledge of the prophets of them times and the sharia of them times and the kitabs of those respected anbiya, and he has so much knowledge, way more knowledge than any person, any mere mortal could have. And the third ayn is he is a arif of Allah. He is someone who recognizes and understands Allah. An arif comes from the word arafa, which means to recognize and to understand. And he recognized and he understood and he knew the rahmat and the mercy of Allah, which is why when he did what he did, which was wrong, which we'll talk about in a few minutes inshallah, he knew that Allah Ta'ala would forgive him, and he asked the dua, he made the dua that, oh Allah Ta'ala, give me life till the end of time, because he knew that Allah Ta'ala would forgive him for that. However, he was not an ashiq of Allah. A ashiq is a lover, and it's the type of love which comes with no strings attached. An ashiq, he did not have the ishq, he did not have the love of Allah, in the sense that whatever Allah Ta'ala had asked of him, if he truly loved Allah, he would have done whatever Allah Ta'ala asked of him. Now, what did Allah ask of Iblis? Where did this jealousy take place? Adam alayhi salam, the first man to ever be created, Allah Ta'ala initially created him from clay, and he was a lifeless being. And Shaitan, new to him, very bizarre to him, he comes and he sees Adam in this form, the form of a man, never seen before. The first time Iblis is seeing this, this man, and he goes around Adam, and he starts to feel this strange feeling now. And Adam alayhi salam has the life blown into him by Allah, and he becomes, from this lifeless matter, he becomes a human being. He becomes a human being with a soul. And Allah Ta'ala teaches him the names of everything, as in the names of the things in the dunya at that time. And Allah Ta'ala blesses him with what we call ilm. Allah Ta'ala gave him knowledge. And the malaika were ordered to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. So if you pause for a second here, you might be thinking, that how is it okay for Adam alayhi salam to be someone upon which or towards which prostration is done? Now the answer to this is very simple, that the prostration is done towards Adam, however it was done for Allah. The command came from Allah, the command did not come from Adam, the command came from Allah to prostrate towards Adam. Therefore, this type of prostration is allowed, even though, as we know, prostration to no one is allowed, only prostration to Allah Ta'ala is allowed. And in this moment, Iblis, he felt jealous, and he felt pride, and he felt, the jealousy that Adam is being honored to such an extent, and due to this, he did not bow his head in the prostration in the way that Allah Ta'ala had ordered him to do. If Shaitan did not have such feelings in his heart, then he would not have been the accursed that he is today. So we find and we see that these qualities, the qualities of jealousy, the qualities of pride, these are not qualities linked to anything good, rather these are the qualities of Shaitan. So we need to ask Allah. We need to actually ask Allah Ta'ala to remove such things from our hearts. That if sometimes it happens, sometimes we see someone and it's okay, to a certain degree to feel envious, where you see someone with something good and it pushes you to do that thing as well. So mashallah, you see someone, they're a hafiz of the Quran and you think, wow, they're so young and they become a hafiz, and I want to become a hafiz as well. With Allah not taking anything away from them, I want to become a hafiz as well. This is completely fine in Islam. However, jealousy is when you have negative feelings and a negative notion towards that person, that why do they have that? Why is it that he was able to become a hafiz and I wasn't able to become a hafiz? Why is it that he's got this much money and I haven't got any money? Why is it that he's got this and I have? Those feelings are completely wrong, and it's something which we should try to expel. And if we find very hard to expel, then there are many remedies, there are many ways, and one such way is asking Allah Ta'ala to extract these things from our hearts. So inshallah, we're going to wrap up a little bit early today. May Allah Ta'ala give me the tawfiq and everyone else the tawfiq to first and foremost acquire taqwa in this blessed month of Ramadan. May Allah Ta'ala give us the ability that at our times of anger, when we are feeling moments of anger, may Allah Ta'ala allow us to control it, so that we are able to resonate the hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and be strong in terms of being able to control our anger when we become angry. And may Allah Ta'ala take away any jealousy that we have in our heart and any ill feelings that we have towards others. May Allah Ta'ala take this away from us, because it can never ever bring about any good. These feelings of hatred and jealousy and pride, they will never ever bring anything good. And we know this from the story of Iblis, let alone the stories of Fir'aun and Nimrud and so many others before us who used to harbor such feelings as well. So may Allah Ta'ala keep us safe from such things. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to see many Ramadans and allow us to benefit and to take as much benefit and allow us to attain as much reward as possible in these last few days in Ramadan. Wa akhirat dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.